It seems there's always going to be a choice in what we can do, left or right, blue or red, play or not to play. So why would a game like this be any different? We follow Seong Gi-hun as we delve into the crisis of the poor and the desperate as they are given a chance to earn money by playing a game, or participating and winning a cash prize, quickly realising it's their life on the line. It is quite clever when everything is based on choice. The mysteriousness of the organisation is dwindled down into shapes of a child's plaything, of the golden card with only a number to call, and the question of whether you wish to participate in the game. Once there, people are not people, but numbers, much like racehorses, and then it all boils down to strategy, teamwork, and plain luck. This is 2 takes, and this is 1 shot. An analysis of the Netflix series Squid Game. Spoilers might be ahead. Would you be willing to bet your life for something as trivial as money? It seems Seong Gi-hun, as well as the other participants are, and all of their downfalls within life, especially in the same sort of neighbourhood or the country, are because of the shortage of money to sort out their problems, but most importantly, the issue of trust when it comes to humanity helping each other out. For Seong Gi-hun, his shortfall is the impatience of the next meal ticket. He does not invest or think ahead. For Kang Sang-byuk, after slowly learning her story, her downfall is mostly by the trust of others in the system who should have done their job and helped her and her family get out of their situations. And for that, her trust in humanity is shattered until Seong Gi-hun gives her a chance as a teammate. Her trust slowly returns, and only understanding and observing Seong Gi-hun from his actions and words within these stressful games does she realise that he is a good person and trusts him to help her little brother on the outside. Sang-woo, however, has the downfall of planning so far in advance that he cannot see what is in front of him, of investing so much in the future, of trying to find the angles, especially when it came to the rules of the game. Remember, he was the one that issued the vote of not participating, and the clever disguise of getting Abdul Ali's marbles by not using violence. Did he succeed? He is clever, true, but with that cleverness comes a price of coldness. Hence, at the last moment, when realising whatever he has done, whether the constant repeated shouts of Seong Gi-hun, words of it being Sang-woo's fault, got into his head, his last thoughts before he died were of going home after a game, and how the comfort of their mothers would call them inside for dinner. For a moment, he tried to relish in something pure and good, and in reflection, he realised his coldness made him inhuman, and so he killed himself, begging Seong Gi-hun to look after his mother. Again, Seong Gi-hun is entrusted to help those on the outside. Being entrusted with the lives of those who are families of the participants in the game present this idea that Seong Gi-hun has a chance of some sort of redemption to help those who he can. However, even when Seong Gi-hun goes home, the comfort of familiarity is lost as we realise his mother is dead. And remember, after all that trauma, the time frame was only a few days. Seong Gi-hun was only gone for a few days. Time was a factor for his mother, and later on we realised time was a factor for Ol E-nam, who ended up being a stakeholder and creator of the game as well as a participant. Going back to the last 3 players, however, they actually form a triangle of what it takes to make a person whole. Sang-woo is the calculating and wise one, finding loopholes and strategizing for the aspect of winning, and he is very good at it, but it chips away at his humanity. Kang Si-byuk is lost to the lack of trust in humanity when she's asked for help, and so she seems distant and uncooperative until becoming part of a team, part of a whole, breaks down her exterior to form someone who cares a lot for those around her, but not much for herself. Small moments coincide with this theory, especially when Seong Gi-hun forgets which glass tile is good for his weight at the end of the 4th game. She reminds him, not letting him suffer. Just remember, at the beginning it was always something for something. Nothing was free from her until she was given the benefit of the doubt and was not expected to give something in return. Seong Gi-hun was the epitome of helping humanity, and the goodness that flows through it. Even when things were not going his way, you have to remember he meant no harm to those around him. Yes, he would beg and plead for money, but he never spent it on himself, always on his mother or his daughter. Even when he bumped into Kang Se-byuk, he would apologise and sort out a drink before running away from the loan sharks. And throughout the game, he was always choosing Oh Il-nam, taking his side, listening to him. And at first, I thought it was out of pity, but understanding how they met on the outside and had a drink together, set a bond between them. And that was it. It wasn't survival of the fittest, or getting the strongest on your team. It was about playing a game with someone you like, and raising each other's spirits, with the aspect of trust formed through reciprocating feelings of respect and well-being. And even then, at some points, especially before the game with the marbles, both Seong Gi-hun and Oh Il-nam were actually excited to be playing together, until they realised they were playing against each other. Seong Gi-hun was naive, sure, but he was not stupid. His kindness and sense of empathy and even hesitation had saved him time and again in the luckiest pattern I've ever seen. Take for example his personal dialogue of dilemma of which vest with which number to choose from, only knowing that this is the order in which players play. He wanted something in the middle, but he hesitated, and so the safety in numbers was gone. To go first or last. And through his kindness to someone who wanted to die knowing they had gone first for something in their lives, made him go last, and evidently saved his life. The other characters who did not get into the final round, like Abdul Ali, reflects the naivety of the goodness of others to the point of trusting and following dumbly just because you are on the same team. Yes, Abdul Ali did save Seong Gi-hun's life at the beginning, and was the anchor of the tug-of-war based on his strength, but his strength and his mind and heart were gravely wounded and teetered on the edge of desperation when it came to the marbles game, and so his downfall is trusting too much. Chung Dok-soo and Han Min-yeol were presented separately, and then formed their stories together because of their choice of a darkened path towards winning, betraying and deceiving each other through self-preservation. We followed Chang Dok-soo's story ever so slightly on the outside, realising his greed and cocky confidence had led him to ruin, the betrayal of people on his side to give him up to the people who were trying to kill him to get ahead. And even though Chung Dok-soo killed the man in the car who betrayed him, it did not solve the problem. And in the game, we see the same formula. Chung Dok-soo follows the ideas of others and kills those who get in his way, but then we show his fear when he is confronted in being the person in front of the queue when it came to the glass bridge. He is not safe anymore. He is not in the middle. Unlike a classroom of children, even though we can recognise him as the main bully, he is not surrounded by his minions. He is laid bare, and that is his downfall. Reliance on getting ahead and forgetting those he had betrayed, expecting everyone to follow suit. Han Min-yeol, even though, as well as the small talk from Seong Gi-hun, opened his eyes to this fact of how betraying someone can make their threats come true. That calling someone a slut does not harm them when it's their lives, not their feelings, that are on the line. Han Min-yeol emphasises the concept of self-preservation, even to the point on whether she might have lied about her baby and how she had not even named it yet. Her thought pattern is mostly about placing herself as the best candidate and putting others down, even to the point of suggesting they use her body. We can only assume this is what she did on the outside, massaging a man's ego for the prize of their wallet. But again, in the game of everyone's lives against your own, with everyone coming in with the same agenda and with empty pockets, her method does not work, and this is why she died. She did not adapt well enough for this unique game. However, her redemption is through her promises. Now she made a promise to kill Chung Dok-soo, even if it cost Han Min-yeol her own life to do it in the process. Nothing else mattered, and we could tell. And with Hwan Jong-ho eventually learning his missing brother being the frontman, must have been an upsetting turn of events. Going through pretending to be one of the guards, quickly going up the ranks of each symbol, using each of their jobs to his advantage to gather intel, Hwan Jong-ho used the system of being another cog in the machine, of how each person is reduced down to a symbol and a number, can have its uses. However, trying to get the right sort of help, especially from his department back on the mainland, proved fruitless. His death, although in vain, did present the unshattering ideals of believing in something so strongly you'd be willing to die for it, even if it was against your own family. Hwang Jong-ho did not agree with his brother to go with him, saying his last words of, "You know why, and we know why too." Two sides of the same coin, and only one side would win through, yet again, another game of the coin toss. Their lives were in the balance again. And unfortunately, his missing brother, the frontman, had won, killing his own family because of his detachment from his own life. Remember, it wasn't because of his belief in what the Golden Masks were doing, far from it. If you recall his talk with his subordinates, and how he killed one of his soldiers who revealed his face to one of the players after the first game, at gunpoint no doubt, he reminded them that any revealing of who you are is the end for you, presenting the idea of quality through stripping away any kind of presentation that you are human to make it fair. And we can see, through Han Jong-ho's storyline, especially his demise, that the frontman had gone further by stripping away any sort of humanity left in himself, emphasizing the need for conformity, routine, and the abiding by laws. With this in mind, but it can go further, by the entirety of Squid Game might be able to present many different ways of how a person can present the humanity that they had any to begin with. It is interesting to think that at some points, money being in the prize is actually forgotten about. The main example that comes to mind is at the beginning, when Seong Gi-hun is at the train station and plays a small game of dakji with the man in the suit. After eventually winning, even though Seong Gi-hun was slapped various amounts of times, all Seong Gi-hun could think about was the fairness of being able to slap him back, forgetting about the money until it was presented to him at the last second. Another moment is when Kang Si-byuk is playing with Chi-young with marbles, and how they wait until the last few minutes to play. Their conversation, though short and full of silence, does leave us understanding that money is not on their minds. Ji-young keeps presenting a future where they could both get out, they can hang out together, and even get mojitos, and then realizes where she is and what she has to do. Her sacrifice is due to the fact that she did not have anything else left. Her father, a pastor, killed her mother, and so she killed him in turn. An eye for an eye. She got out of prison and was immediately pounced upon, without any understanding or even time to get into debt. Hence, her sacrifice to give Kang Si-byuk a chance to get out and look after her brother was seen as a proper sacrifice for someone who had a life and others in the outside world. When it boils down to it, money is without feeling and is fleeting. What really matters is one's life, and what impression one's life gives to those around them. Through memory does someone live on. The ending with Seong Gi-hun dyeing his hair red was an interesting choice. Remember at the beginning when he played the game dakji in this train station with a man in a suit? We can see he chose red, and at the end, when Seong Gi-hun finds the man again but does not catch him, a glimpse of someone else playing him had also chosen blue, much like the player's colour almost in the games on the island. He chose to dye his hair red, not to be a player anymore, and much like those guards and those in glittering masks of various animals, Seong Gi-hun was going to be in charge. He dyed it red because he was going to make a stand, not to be so naive and take charge of his life. And after taking a golden card with those symbols on it, and after the brief conversation on the phone just before he almost gets on the plane, we realise he has not forgotten, nor has he forgiven. He goes back, determined to make a difference, determined to end the games once and for all, to find redemption for himself, for those who had died with the money that had to be eventually used. His blood money. From the naivety of fast ways to make money, to a chance of a life that involved the forfeit of your life, Seong Gi-hun had grown into a more powerful adversary by doing what was right, what was good, and never being played by the end result of the money. He had made friends, perhaps even enemies, and even throughout everything that had come his way, Seong Gi-hun kept his head, and Kang Si-byuk reminded him at the last second, saying that he was not that kind of person, of killing his friend in his sleep. Whether the choice was money or your life, he chose life, and he wanted to stop those who enticed others with the same choice. He could have used his money to help those around him, even strangers, but that would not have stopped anything. Instead, what better choice than to cut off the head of the snake and end the games once and for all? And like there were 6 games, there were 6 golden masks, 1 down, 5 more to go.
Did you know that I've got a Patreon now? There, you can be part of an exclusive group that has access to behind-the-scenes content, archived episodes of my late show, and 3 bonus shows, all following a unique format. Plus more. So what have you got to lose? Sign up to patreon.com/2takes podcast for more information. Like and follow on Instagram, Twitter for the latest news, and if you enjoyed what was said, then follow the show on Anchor, YouTube, Spotify and more. And for all podcasters to you, I thank you. I hope you stick around for more.